Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. So, happy Sunday today. I want to talk about what's going on in Argentina. Inflation is absolutely killing that country and the citizens of that country. And that is why Bitcoin is the way, because they are a prime example of what happens when the government is irresponsible with its money. And that's why we have Bitcoin. So let's talk about this and more. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys are doing good this Saturday. Bitcoin is still clinging on in the 27,000 range, right? But today, let's talk about what's going on with Argentina and why Bitcoin is so important. This is the reason why Bitcoin was created. Distrust in governments, distrust in central banks, distrust in financial institutions, because they don't really know what the hell they're doing. They may seem like it, and most of them have been around for hundreds of years. Yet we had an absolute collapse in 2008. We had a collapse this year, and we're starting to see other countries that suffer from hyperinflation really suffer now. Okay, Argentina raised, in the U.S., we're talking about Powell raising rates, right? We're already at 4.75. Maybe we go to 5. Maybe we don't, right? If you thought 5% was bad, what about 81%? Last week, Central Bank of Argentina went up 300 basis points, which is 3%. If we did that in the U.S., markets would tank like 50%. But they had to, because their inflation is so high and they're out of money. And that is why they decided to do it. I don't even know how you could do any kind of business in Argentina when the Fed rate over there, or the central bank rate, is 81%. 81 versus our 4.75 right now. So think about it, okay? And also, on Friday and Saturday, they basically suspended operations because they have no more money. Like, that's how bad it is, right? And that's why they have hyperinflation, because they already printed so much, but now they're completely out of money. Foreign payments has been suspended. Imagine, again, in the U.S., the Fed shuts its doors for a couple of days. Like, how disastrous would that be, right? And basically, what's looking like is they're in a negative. They're 5.13 billion in a negative, which means that they have no money. They have to sell their gold position. They may have to basically utilize consumer deposits to pay out. That's just how bad it is, right? Of course, this is just one example, but Argentina is a big country. And there are many others that are in the same situation, because their governments just don't know how to run things, and they have driven their fiat to the ground, and now they don't know what to do. Some of them may cut zeros from their currency, but that doesn't solve any problem, right? And I know that many of us in the US, in Europe, Australia, wherever you may be watching right now, are thinking, well, this can't possibly happen to our country, right? There's no way we can be this bad. Well, it may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow, but all fiat currencies collapse someday. Every single one. You go throughout history, every single fiat currency ever created has collapsed. That may get you thinking, why, right? Because of this. Because you have people in charge that become too greedy or too leveraged. Something happens, and then it leads towards that, right? So that's why we have Bitcoin. That's why Satoshi created Bitcoin. It's like, enough of this. Why do we always we'll put our faith into governments and banks that really are irresponsible? And basically, we need something better, right? So if you look at Bitcoin prices surging in Lebanon, Argentina, Turkey, Pakistan, again, all the countries that suffer from hyperinflation, right? There's really nowhere else to turn. A lot of these countries you can't even buy foreign currencies like USD. You're limited in how much you can buy, and even so, it's just hard to get. But it's not hard to get Bitcoin. Well, sort of. That's why prices in those countries are skyrocketing. But again, this is what's happening around the world. And the same thing with the U.S. Federal Reserve is printing out money left and right. Look at that huge jump all of a sudden, right? Why is that? It's for banks. A lot of the banks have been bailed out recently. The reason why we don't hear more about like First Republic or SV Bank and Signature Bank, the reason why we don't hear more about collapses is because the Fed has been secretly loaning out billions upon billions, hundreds of billions, in fact, to these banks to kind of stop the problem, right? Stop the gap, basically, so to speak, because ever since those banks went under, the Fed came out with an emergency loan program. They call it the Fed facility or whatever they're calling it. And that's the only reason why we haven't heard more about bank failures. But, the more printing that gets done, the more we get closer to Argentina, so to speak. Michael Saylor's like, if you live in Argentina right now, you need Bitcoin. And why not? Why can't? It seems hard to fathom, but why can't a country like Argentina just dump their currency and just implement Bitcoin as a currency, right? You'll have better odds, at saving your country, because obviously whatever you have been doing doesn't work, right? If you implement Bitcoin as the currency, at least you have more, freedom. You don't have to worry about, I don't know. I'm not an economist, so I can't imagine what would happen and how easy it would be to implement like Bitcoin as a currency, or at least come out fiat that's backed by Bitcoin, something like that, like some in between, right? I think it would make a lot of sense for a lot of countries that can't get their S together, And it may happen. Of course, El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, but didn't. They don't have their own currency. But like one of these other bigger countries, like Argentina or Turkey or whatever, what if they just get rid of their currency and just come up with something new, the Bitcoin currency for them? That would be wild. But I think that's a real possibility. And overthrowing the USD as the reserve currency one day and replacing that with Bitcoin, a real possibility too. And by the way, for those of us in the U.S. that are thinking that, we're protected from all this inflation, well, are we really? Because if you look at the buying power of your dollar, this is what has been happening from 2007 to now, okay? This is not going back to like 1913 or whenever the Fed was created. This is just within the last, 2 decades. And this will continue further down, because inflation is a silent tax, very hard to notice at times, but we have certainly noticed it the last 3 years, right? Things have gone up a lot. Food is astronomically more expensive. Travel, airfare, astronomically more expensive. Same thing with all assets, right? Still holding very high. Cars, you name it. We're noticing it now, but throughout history, it's like slow ticks here or there. You don't notice it for like 5 to 10 years, but now we're really noticing it really quickly, right? And going back to Warren Buffett, he, back in the day, he's still not a believer in Bitcoin, but back in the day, remember when he said Bitcoin is rat poison? Well, he lost he lost a ton by not adopting Bitcoin, while Berkshire Hathaway has been pretty much struggling. If you look at Berkshire Hathaway, like over 50% of the holdings is Apple. Like outside of Apple, they're not making any money. And it took them forever to get into tech, okay? That's the thing. Like, Warren Buffett made all of his money. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the most famous and the richest investors ever in our history, right? And you can't take that away from him. But if you look at the last decade or so, Berkshire Hathaway has been carried by Apple. Simply, that's it. Apple, that's it. Everything else that he has in his portfolio are non-movers or losers. And the only thing that's carrying is Apple, right? So it makes you wonder, first of all, he's just not a tech guy. And second of all, had he put some into Bitcoin back in the day, how much he would be up by. He may be the world's first trillionaire, right? On paper, at least. I hear there are trillionaires that we don't know about, but maybe he could have been the first trillionaire on paper had he just put a little amount into Bitcoin back in the day. But I think it's too late for that. Anyways, moving forward, the reason why Bitcoin continues to go up is because long-term holders continue to just stock up. Okay, long-term holders basically, you know what, just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, right? Right now, we're back to 2015 levels, 73.5%, okay? Now, the reason why we're not at all-time high yet, although we're very, very close for long-term holders, is because whenever we have bull cycle, you have a lot of newbies coming in, right? A lot of people FOMO in. That's why it changes the supply from long-term to short-term holders, right? But we're at that point where, yeah, we have been climbing for quite a bit, and look at the times when Bitcoin climbs to a very high percentage of long-term holders. That's usually a precursor to a ferocious run. A ferocious run. It happened back in 2015, right before Bitcoin went on a ferocious run from 160 to 20,000. It happened in 2018, right? Even though the long-term supply was not as high as now, but Bitcoin went from 3,000 to 69,000, and look at where we are now, right? This is an indicator, a precursor to what's to come. So don't ignore it. Also, number of addresses at non-zero balance, yes, at all-time high, right? There's just so much goodness right now. And also, here's a perspective of previous cycles versus our current cycle. Basically, history doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme. And that's exactly what it's doing right now. We are in recovery. We are in the next bull cycle, not the tail end, but we have started the next bull cycle. So don't miss out. Don't miss out. But here's good news about you guys that are holding a lot of altcoins. There are people wondering, where is the altcoin season? When altcoin season, right? Altcoin season, traditionally speaking, happens at the tail end of a bull run. Like, for example, after 2025, I would say that's when altcoins really start skyrocketing. However, so far, this last cycle has been different. Why? Because altcoins are just that much stronger. Because there's actually a use case. There's actually a reason for people to hold alts. Traditionally speaking, everyone sells alts because they all are worthless, and then everyone stocks up on Bitcoin, which is why Bitcoin's dominance always goes up before, right? But if you look at it now, it's different. This is charting Bitcoin altcoin dominance. And you could see when Bitcoin dominance is below, okay, it's been topping out. And when it tops out and comes down, right around this 48 percentile mark, and it goes down to about 38%, what happens with altcoins? Altcoins start skyrocketing. So there are some that are charting this, saying that, yeah, we're around that 48 percentile. Bitcoin dominance may start going down, and we may see another ferocious pump for altcoins short term, right? But long term is where you see Bitcoin topping out in this next bull run, maybe at $300,000. And then that money flows into altcoins, and that's when you will see altcoins skyrocketing some doing a 5x, 10x, 100x within a matter of a month. That's what happened. That's what happened in 2018 for 2 weeks. That's what happened in 2021, the last month of 2021 in November. And it will happen again in 2025. But in the meantime, altcoins are much stronger this time around than before. And overall, I'd say that's a testament to how much maturity, I guess, there is in the market, even though it's still so early. All right, that is pretty much it. Also, I just want to remind you guys, a couple new videos on the channel that I will continue to record and move forward with. So yesterday, me and Brian, we did the very first FOMO pass, right? Not that much people tuned in, but I will say this. There will be much more projects, better projects. The whole point is I'm not screening them. I'm just making sure that they're not a scam project. But outside that, the whole premise of the show is we don't know anything about the project. It's not like we did a deep dive into it. The whole point is to invite promising projects that pitch us, and you guys judge how well they actually can explain themselves. And also, of course, me and Brian does that too, right? So that will be every Saturday night. And Friday night, I invited Aaron to do more about DeFi. I know the very first one was maybe too over the head for a lot. It was too complicated, but there'll be a lot more goodness coming from Aaron in the future too. And this week, I'll be hosting Spaces Wednesday night, and I'll tweet that out. So make sure you guys do follow me on Twitter as well. So I'm going to be starting to do that weekly as well. So there will be a lot more content for you guys overall. All right, let's do some Q&A. Let me scroll down here. It is Sunday, right? Did I say Sunday or Saturday? It's Sunday. I see people saying Sunday. Oh, did I say Saturday? I meant Sunday. I thought I said Sunday. Let's see. All right. Is it too late for Warren? I think so. I don't think we're going to see within his lifetime him turning or warming up to Bitcoin. I think it's too late for that. How realistic is that Gensler's going to get replaced? I don't know. You know, our politics, I don't know. Politics is very agenda driven, right? So I don't know if he's being protected or what. We do have a lot of people that do not like what he has done, but who knows? Maybe he's protected by people, and I don't know if anything's going to be done. I think one thing's for sure, though. The crypto space will be a whole lot better in the U.S. if he gets replaced. So hopefully we have people in charge that actually know what they're doing and can vote him out. You know, I know that I think only Biden can fire him, but if Congress ends up changing the rules altogether, meaning that there is no SEC chair, well then that's the equivalent of like a company saying, okay, this position is no longer available. You don't have to fire them. You just say the position is no longer available. It's kind of like equivalency of that. So hopefully that happens. And can people cash out on BDC ATMs or just buy? Yeah, you can cash out. You can cash out, but you're paying a heavy penalty by cashing out. So the spread on those ATMs are not good. Meaning there's like $1,000 spread between buy and sell. So if you're trying to sell, you're losing out on a lot. No, I'm not going to Consensus. I don't know why. I never thought about attending a Consensus, but recently I've been talking to a lot of people that are going there. It seems like it's more like a business conference than anything. It's not really consumer based. So maybe next year. So I'm not. Yeah, this week is too late for me. Give your opinion about Gala V2 token. I don't really know too much about it, so can't really say much about it. I just know that you're going to get it. So I know they said that, yeah, it's going to be better, but, you know, I don't know really by how much. They will implement burning, but basically you're just going to get it. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. That's it. I mean, I don't know what else you need to know about it. They tell you to put it in your own wallet and you'll get airdropped, or you could leave an exchange and they will airdrop it for you. Do you think ETH will become so big one day it puts Avalanche, ADA, and top 10 L1s obsolete? It could. It could, but it's like saying, oh, when Microsoft or Apple's so big, all other tech companies should just shut down. That's never the case. The market is big enough for more than one player. So just because ETH gets so big doesn't mean that everything else shuts down. No. I will be at Miami 2023. I don't know how Bitcoin 2023. I don't know how long I'll be hanging out at the conference, but I'll show up a couple days for sure, just to meet with people, talk with people. I'm hosting a party there. So those of you guys that are NFT holders, I am George NFT holders, I'll be doing an auction soon. So the party I've been talking about, it's a set deal. So I will be doing a random auction for people that are going to be attending, that will be in Miami. Love to invite you guys and meet you guys. So I'm going to be doing that soon. Still trying to figure out the logistics of how to do that random draw. But yeah, for those of you guys that will be in Miami. Even if you aren't going to Bitcoin 2023 and you just happen to be in Miami, that's fine. Sheriff, yes. What do you think about Nexo as a platform? I've never used Nexo. I know they're overseas, but ever since they stopped their yield, I don't know what they're really good for anymore. So I don't know. When is McRib paid in sats? Probably not for a while. Not for a while. And I don't know why anyone would want to spend sats at this point anyways. You want to be loading up as much as you can right now. Okay? 27,000, 30,000 Bitcoin, it's still so cheap compared to where it will be at the end of this cycle and where it will be at the end of the next cycle. million plus. When Bitcoin was million plus, then you could think about spending sats on everyday items. But right now, why would you want to? Today, not a whole lot of winners today. Yeah, pretty red today. Yesterday, I think things came up a little bit. Let's see how this week is. There's just a lot of fear over, in the U.S., there's a lot of fear over still inflation, but also the economy, whether or not we will be going to deep recession. I forgot to show this. The earnings report for this week, there's a lot of companies reporting. A lot of these big companies can sway the U.S. market in a big way based on not only their earnings, but their forecast. Like Coke and Pepsi can certainly sway markets. You got like Microsoft and Visa and Facebook and Meta, basically Intel, MasterCard. You got a lot of big ones. Caterpillar, American Airlines. A lot of big companies, 3M, they could sway markets. I don't live in the U.S. Interested in getting some interest from crypto, so researching options like Nexo. Okay, fine. But there are a lot of other ways to make interest in crypto. It's just it's more complicated. So that's exactly what Aaron was talking about with Arbitrum and GMX and some of these other DeFi plays. I know for most people, vast majority of people, they want to use centralized services because it's just easier. Okay, I know that. But if you truly want to learn, get involved with wallets and get involved with DEXs and learn how to utilize some of these decentralized options. Because in the future, basically, there will only be decentralized options out there. Centralized options, especially ones that compete with banks, like Yield, for example, will be shut down one after another. There's no doubt about it. Every country will be shutting them down. So it's advantageous for you to start learning how to utilize decentralized options as soon as you can. And many of you guys watching right now don't even know how to use a self-custody wallet. That shows you how many people are really not taking advantage of the options that are available when it comes to crypto and Web3 and self-custody and all that stuff. So at the very least, learn how to use a wallet. Okay, learn how to use a non-custodial wallet, and then start tinkering around with decentralized options. Why is Chipotle on the list of important earnings? It's a big name. It's a big name. People know of Chipotle. Brent says test transactions are a must when first sending stuff to wallets. Yes, very important. Well, that's why I'm advisor for RX. RX wallet, fantastic. It has that built in, so you don't have to worry about sending to the wrong contract or sending to the wrong chain. It automatically detects it. So they're just one example of a wallet that does that. Others starting to implement, or there's like plugins or some. I see this other company that has that that has like a plugin that you use, and it'll kind of help with that. But that's, you know, not nearly as good or as efficient. So if you guys want to play with a browser-based wallet, in my opinion, probably the best, even better than MetaMask, check out RX Wallet. It's really good. S1 Dub, Saturday night is not a time for that crypto show. Saturday night, well, because I have no other slots. Unless I replace my Saturday morning show, right? But I have 2 streams basically every single day of the week. So really no time for it, but I know people are all out and about on Saturday. But if you happen not to be out and about and you are at home or the next day, you can simply still watch it, right? So FOMO or Pass, go check it out. And on Twitter, I will be making a new post for those of you guys that want to, if you are a project or you know of a project, you want them to apply, right? I'll be putting another one of these with a form later today so that we can actually sort and screen them out much easier. So it'll be on Twitter. So in case you guys want to make recommendations to your favorite projects or you are developing your own project, right? Make sure you apply. What are your thoughts on Robinhood? These days, I don't hear anything. No controversy, at least, so that's a good thing. And they released their wallet. I think that's a good thing, but they're still very limited in terms of their pairs. So, yeah. Jay Davis says, I love the DeFi show last night. It was actually 2 nights ago. I love leverage. I know you hate it, but I've really had good luck with it. Well, see, key term there, luck. Okay, luck only goes so far. But anyways, I still do like the fact that you like DeFi. I think it's a very, very early industry. People who love DeFi. They know how to use it and they understand it, but most people don't. Most people want to be spoon-fed something easy, and that's centralized options, right? But it's one of the biggest reasons for crypto is you are your own bank. Everything is decentralized. There's no centralized entities to stop you from doing what you want, who to send money to, who to invest in, right? Those things are available through DeFi, not centralized options like Coinbase. Coinbase can't shut you out, can suspend your account. They can prohibit you from buying more or sending your crypto elsewhere. They are still a centralized entity. Even though they're not a bank, they're a centralized entity with centralized powers, right? So keep that in mind. Crypto for everyone. Thanks for being a member for 14 months. All right, guys, let's conclude. What's happening in Argentina? No good. Collapsing due to inflation. Their central bank is out of money. And this is what happens when governments are irresponsible with fiat, with overprinting, with inflation. And that's why we have Bitcoin. So we're starting to see signs of it in the US. We're starting to see signs of it everywhere else, right? And it's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time before things get worse. But you don't want to wait until that happens. You want to be holding on Bitcoin, all right? So smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, all right? Have a good one. Take care.